Hello and good evening. I don't think anybody is actually watching, but here you are yet again. Um, Tuning in, beginning always with nobody here. Oh, we've got one person, I think. So, welcome to the one person. Thank you ever so much for tuning in yet again. Here we are to discuss a variety of topics. Um, I don't know if you can hear me, but if you can, I think it's best I check whether you can hear me first, because there's no point me continuing if you can't hear me. But here we are on yet another evening. Now there are five of you. Hello. So if one of you could say hello, it might be useful. Um, there we go. We've got hello from Expialidocious. We've got hello from Mickey de Fernandez Paz, the wonderful Mickey. Yes, the wonderful Chili, and the wonderful Janice. Hello and good evening. So tonight we're going to talk about lots of different topics. We'll also have a quiz, so you can all try and do your best to be the best in the West. And good evening to Janice and Keely and Nita. Anyway, we'll begin tonight by talking about Peter Mandelson. Should Peter Mandelson really be allowed to be the British ambassador to Washington? Is this appropriate, given his so many most appalling links to crooked people, but most especially his links to Jeffrey Epstein? You know, Peter Mandelson, known as the Prince of Darkness. Petty is what Petey or Petty is what Epstein called him. P-E-T-I-E. Petey. Meddling Mandelson, Mandy, the ruthless, media savvy, manipulative, cunning cat that he was. A dreadful person, another bad person. Why was this former Young Communist League member allowed to go and represent Britain in America? I find this shocking. I find it disgraceful. I find it utterly wrong. This man is a crook. He's a creep. He had a dodgy mortgage. No one stopped him for that. He's been involved in banks that have had all sorts of legal issues. Very interesting that, hey? Anyway, the core part of Keir Starmer's new government was Peter Mandelson. So Peter Mandelson got rewarded with the plush job of going off to live in the palatial ambassadorial residence in Washington. It's meant to be one of the best houses there. This dreadful woman I used to know, called Catherine Mayer, the charity tin banger, Baroness Mayer, as she's now known, the woman who has been expelled from Parliament, from the House of Lords for a period of time because she called another peer Lord Poppadom. She's a truly dreadful stain on humanity. She's another one of those. I think the word stain on humanity is something I'm going to use along with bog off going forward. Absolutely awful woman. She used to live in this house and she redecorated it by Ralph Lauren. Redecorated the British Embassy in Washington with Ralph Lauren. Couldn't she have used British designers? I hope Mr. Lord Mandelson, sorry, not Mr. Mandelson, should use some British designers for his redecoration, which no doubt will be going on, because him and his little husband will no doubt want to be doing that. Anyway, there we go. Lord Mandelson once described Donald Trump as a bully and a mercantilist. How on earth can this man be able to negotiate on behalf of Britain with this man? He is not the appropriate person to do this job. But three-tier Keir, I don't call him two-tier Keir, I call him three-tier Keir, well, of course would recruit his old mate, wouldn't he? Keir Starmer is an absolute bozo. He is born in a barn. He's the village idiot. This is not the right thing for the country. As Steve O says, Mandelson, an awful man. There we go. I agree with you very much. Mandelson is absolutely scum of the earth. He's a grifter and he's a bad person. You know, he was out there with those McCanns very quickly, within hours of missing Madeline, because he knew there was a PR opportunity for the Labour government back in those days. You know, he hung around with those Hinduja brothers because they paid his mortgage. He hung around with Robert Maxwell, you know, a man who stole £500 million from a bunch of pensioners. Disgusting people. The Rothschilds, well, you know, many people have theories about them. There's many good Rothschilds and there's probably a few bad Rothschilds, but, you know, his connections, he doesn't go around with poor people, does he? Peter Mandelson has never been known to go around with the homeless, has he? Peter Mandelson is an absolutely disgusting man who is on the make and on the take. And now he's got the plumber's job on the planet. British ambassador to Washington. You couldn't have made it up. And as Sir Keir Starmer said, you can sense that there's a new leader. He's a true one-off, a pioneer in business, in politics. Many people love him, others hate him. And the audience then exclaimed, thinking there was some attack on Donald Trump. But to us, he's just Peter. Peter Mandelson has got his fingers in the trough yet again. It's utterly disgusting, it's reprehensible, and it's totally wrong. It's rotten to the core. You know, how could you have this man, a close associate of Jeffrey Epstein, as the British ambassador to Washington under a Labour government? Labour are supposedly the party of the people. The Tories are supposedly the parties of the toffs. This man is the reversal of the bloody role. It's an absolute effing outrage. I am disgusted and ashamed of my country for sending the worst possible person ever, the most shameful person, to be our ambassador to the United States at this time. It is totally morally repugnant. I am appalled, and you are all saying to me, Mandy does have a lot to answer for. Yes, I agree with you. Now, aside from this, in 2002, Mr. Mandelson, as he then was, a Labour MP, had dinner at the Epstein mansion in Lenox Hill, New York. He dined with Donald Trump. Now, this was reported upon. He dined with David Blaine and Sergey Brin, the co-founder of Google. Didn't declare it as an MP. Yet he subsequently had a pop at Donald Trump and called him a bully. So, you know, he's very hypocritical. He's not actually a man of consistency. In 2005, the 27th of December, he was photographed in St. Bart's, holidaying with Jeffrey Epstein. He went to a shop and he bought a belt, wearing a $27,000 watch with his then husband, Ronaldo Avila da Silva. You know, he went to the islands subsequently. He had holidays on the Pedo Islands. This man was quite happy to take the hospitality of Jeffrey Epstein in 2005, 2002. It gets worse. Epstein was put in jail 2008. Peter Mandelson rang him in jail on behalf of JP Morgan. He telephoned him in jail. 2007, he'd been at a birthday party for him in Paris, photographed with the butler. But in 2008, he telephoned this terrible man and tried to do business with a man inside a prison. This is absolutely abhorrent. This man has no shame. He has utterly no disgrace about his. He can't. He is a disgrace. Sorry. You know, he now thinks that he can go on and say, we need to have special relations, but we don't need to fight over trade. But how can he properly represent our country when he is someone who has shamed our country by being associated with one of the worst paedophiles in history? This is absolutely morally repugnant, and it's totally wrong. So that is my view on Jeffrey Epstein. Nigel Farage as in Garrett, Farage as in Farage, or as I call him, Farage as in garage, says he's an intelligent figure. His intellect would command respect in America. I would disagree. I would say that this man is worse than the village idiot. He is an absolute nuisance, and he will cause no end of harm to Britain's relations with foreign countries. We must put a stop to Peter Mandelson being ambassador. We won't be able to, of course, because Keir Starmer is going to carry on because, he's a man with a majority of over 150. He can do what the hell he wants. But he is an absolutely appalling, shocking disgrace. It's absolutely shameful. Anyway, that's my view on that. So, my next topic, moving along. We're 13 minutes in. Andrew Tate, moving to a similar topic. I'll just have a swig of Famous Grouse. I've managed to get hold of a bottle of Famous Grouse today. I like cheap whiskey. Nothing wrong with that. I love expensive whiskey too, but a bottle of Famous Grouse doesn't do anyone harm. So cheers to everyone who likes a bit of Famous Grouse. Now, this Andrew Tate and his brother, Tristan Tate, they've managed to flee to America, I believe. I don't know whether they're there yet. I haven't looked to see where they're up to on their flight plan, but they were on a private plane. Allegedly, they left Romania this morning, and they had been arrested in 2022 on charges of human trafficking, sexual misconduct, money laundering, and forming an organized crime group. They face charges of rape and human trafficking in the UK. They can be extradited to Britain once a final decision is reached in their case in Romania. Now, allegedly, they have agreed to go to America on the basis they'll go back to face their trial. Can you guarantee those two little grifters will ever be going back? They'll be hiding behind a little closed door like the little pansies that they actually are. They're an absolute pair of disgusting stains on humanity, also. Awful beings. And, I was invited to meet them by somebody on the basis that I could only ask them questions that they wish to answer. That's what they are. They're a pair of cowards. They're misogynistic, revolting, bully boy twits. They are not men. They're not boys. They're not anything. They're just filthy, horrible people. There's nothing redeeming about Tristan and Andrew Tate. They wear strange clothes. They look like they're born in a barn. They are awful, awful, ghastly, common, revolting, disgusting people. And all they have done is manipulate young men into believing some kind of misogynistic, hateful, vile bile. Absolutely wrong. Men should respect ladies properly. Those two don't have any respect for their own mother, their own father. They don't have any respect for anybody. It's absolutely wrong to have people like this in our world. I don't approve of them one bit, but that is not just me saying this. There are thousands of people out there who are upset. And, the Romanian PM, Marcel Ciolacu, I don't know how I may pronounce his name incorrectly, I do apologize, denied being pressured by the Trump administration to lift the travel restrictions. Yeah, right. Of course he did that because he doesn't want to upset Donald Trump. Donald Trump right now is the most powerful man in the world. Donald Trump controls the world. And he has encouraged all of this. But the victims are distraught. And the lawyer for the victims said to see the most powerful man in the world support their alleged abuser of, the victims of Tate is incredibly traumatizing. Well, I agree. It's absolutely shocking that this pair of grifters, who all they do is make money out of stupid young boys who pay them money to be manipulated. Are you that thick? Were you born in a barn? Were you born in a ditch? What's wrong with you? That you actually hand over money to these two more weirdly dressed freaks? They look awful. They actually think that they're some kind of God's gift to man. They're an absolute pair of jokers. They're absolutely sick in the head. They should be shot in the head. I used to know somebody who was a security guard for a certain person who's on trial at the moment, and he's a Sikh Indian boy, and he would go on about how wonderful this Andrew Tate was. And I said to him, are you mentally unhinged? He went, oh, no, he's great. He's great. He's great. I don't speak to that person anymore because that person's an idiot. And he's much of an idiot as them. But no, they're not idiots. They're clever because they conned the world. But it's shameful and wrong. Anyway, there we go. Um, what is my view on Jordan Peterson? I'm sorry, I don't know anything about Jordan Peterson. You'll have to tell me more, but please do send me a message about Jordan Peterson and I'll have a look. I don't know anything about Jordan Peterson, so I can't answer that. Anyway, I would like to give you something a little more positive before I move on to the main story of the day. I was listening on Radio 4 this morning. I can't watch television whilst I'm here in France because I did have this VPN, but I don't know how to make it work because you know, I'm a moron when it comes to technology. I have a thing called a VPN, which last time I was here, I was able to watch British television, and no, I can't because I don't know how to make it work because I'm an idiot. But there we go. So I can get my Radio 4 sounds. So this morning I listened to the wonderful Sir Michael Morpurgo, who lives in Devon, talking about his thing he made 42 years ago about a Cornish story, The White Horse. And it was an absolutely lovely thing to listen to, stories of the mermaids, the knockers, and the the boggarts, as they're called, as close as we get in England to folklore. Anyway, there's a play, and if you're anywhere near Redroof in the West End, we pointed out, in Cornwall, before the 8th of March, it opens tonight, go and see the play. Puppetry, film, set now. It's all based on, the exploration of folklore and wonderful things. Sir Michael Morpurgo is the most wonderful person. Warhorse, if you've ever paid attention to it, is absolutely fantastic. This man is someone who cuts through the nonsense and the drama. Let's have some real things back in life. Michael Morpurgo, go and watch him if you can in Cornwall. Watch the play about his White Horse. It would be a great thing, and it will tour the country next year, I'm told. So that's a positive story. Anyway, here we are. We're nearly at 22 minutes, and there's quite a few of you here. So if any of you had any questions you'd like to ask me right now, please ask me a few questions before we move on to the main topic of the evening, which is Claudia Lawrence, the story of Claudia Lawrence, which is an amazing story that I did a lot of work with on Talk TV with the brilliant Peter Blexley and many other people connected to that case last year. Right. Right. Have we got any questions? Questions are welcomed. Right. Well, there are no questions, so there we go. Right. You want to move to Devon? It sounds Cornwall. It sounds ace. Well, there we go. That's a very nice thing to do. My description of the Tate brothers is 100% correct. Well, I'm sure there are many people out there amongst you who think that the Tate brothers are wonderful people, but they're not wonderful in my eyes. I'm very sorry to say it. I think they're disgusting, depraved, and mentally unhinged. Anyway, I shall move on to the story of Claudia Lawrence in a couple of moments. Sorry, we have coughing in the background from Lady Min. Lady Min wants to join in by coughing tonight. I think that's her way of joining in. I do apologize for the coughing, but here we go. So, anyway, um, Hillary Clinton. I don't have anything much to say about her other than she's awful. What is my opinion of the theory that Brigitte Macron is a man? Um, it does the rounds. Many of my friends seem to believe in this. I don't know. I've no idea. I can't prove it either way. It's not something I could prove either way, so I don't know. Um, what do you think of the theory that this person could be a man? I suppose I throw it back at you. Obviously, you seem to think that that might be a story. So, do you actually believe that to be true? I don't know. I have no idea if the person is male, female, or otherwise. Um, but in these days, anyone can be anything. You could be a dinosaur, as I've always said. I met a woman in Broadstairs. Sorry, it claimed it wasn't a woman, who claimed to be a dinosaur. Sorry, she claimed to be a dragon. You can be J.K. Rowling rightly calls all this nonsense out for what it is. You're either a man or a woman. You can't be anything else. There's no in between. It's absolutely ridiculous. I am not interested in this woke wassickery, as I call it. I speak out, but no doubt people will try and cancel me for daring to suggest this. But I think the cancel culture is coming to an end. And that is one of the positive things of the arrival of Donald Trump. I'm not a great fan of Donald Trump. I'm certainly no fan of Keir Starmer. But I think there's an area in the middle where there are people like most of us who just don't want any more of this nonsense in our world. You're either a man or a woman. You can be lesbian, you can be gay, you can be bisexual, you can be into whatever you're into, but you cannot be a dragon. You can't be a rabbit. If you're a man, a woman, you can't be a rabbit. If you want to identify as a rabbit, go and eat some lettuce. Seriously, there's something completely wrong with you. I'm very sorry. I'm probably offending many people by saying this. And, I have many friends who are straight. I have many friends who are gay, who are lesbian. I've even spent time with Angela Eagle of the Labour Party. She's a well-known lesbian. You know, I've spent time with plenty of people who are gay, who are politicians. I've even been at a party with Katie Hopkins, weirdly, with Peter Mandelson. He's gay. I have no problem with anybody. People should be whoever they want to be, but don't ram it down other people's throats. And we don't need to have this nonsensical culture of deciding about lavatories. I am absolutely sick of people talking about lavatories. They're not called toilets for a start. The word toilet is the most disgusting word on the planet. It's only used by common people. It's not toilet. It's the bog. It's the shitter. It's the crapper. It's whatever you want to call it. It was invented by Sir Thomas Crapper. But the word toilet is a vile word. And, the fact that they want to change this into unisex, basically. That's that's just absolutely wrong because it just encourages paedophilia. It's wrong, absolutely appalling. I'm being criticized here. You're self-canceling. I don't know if that's a criticism or a commendation, actually. Um, whatever you want. What do I think of transgender people? Um, Look, if you want to be whatever you want to be whatever you want to be, but don't ram it down my neck or the neck of anyone else, and don't um, force horrible things upon other people. Just be yourself. Just be yourself. But you don't have to make other people's lives difficult. That's the thing. I don't have a problem with anyone who is transgender. Be what you want. If you I met this person who, as I told you, she identified as a dragon, but she wasn't a she. It's terrible in my mind that people, you know, force that upon me. I think it's laughable that I want to be a dragon. So I said, if you want to be a dragon, um, well, are you a male dragon or a female dragon? She said, dragons are mythical, so I can be whatever I want. I'd say that is the sign of lunacy. I would say that person has mental illness. Absolutely crackers and mad. But there we go. But I'm not allowed to say things like that because now I will get cancelled, won't I? Like J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling has spoken huge amounts of sense on this topic, and I stand with J.K. Rowling. It is nonsense. It is absolutely laughable. A man is a man and a woman is a woman, and whatever you want to be in between, be whatever you want to be. But please don't ram it down my throat. I don't need to hear any more of it. I'm absolutely bored to tears, and I hope this new era is going to bring an end to this woke wazikry. I've had enough of woke. I've been speaking out against woke for the last 2 or 3 years. Woke is not wonderful. Woke is wildly weird. There's nothing great about woke. Why would anyone go, I'm proud to be woke? It's pathetic. I heard some moron woman on Radio 4 this morning going on about how it was great to be, middle class, and I was proudly working class to begin with, but I couldn't cope with it, and I became middle class. Seriously, these people should grow up. There were people who fought wars to save us. They didn't fight wars so we could all end up speaking this nonsense and going on about, we've got to give people a chance to speak in a mildly middle class way. It's absolutely pathetic. Enough is enough. Well, I've got a few of you saying you agree with me 100%. That's very kind. I'm sure I've offended a number of people who are watching. I do apologize if I have, but it's time for the world to wake up. We need to go back to having some decent values. I didn't think I'd go on to this. This was not what I was planning to talk about tonight, but values are important. The system of, being, I identify as a hedgehog. Seriously, what's wrong with you? Are you a moron? Were your parents morons? Are you manipulated? Is someone putting a bag over your head? Are you a body in a bag? You absolute fool. It's absolutely wrong. Enough is enough. Um, I think probably I've said enough on this topic. Um, I probably ranted a little too much. I do apologize to those of you who must be getting utterly bored with me going on about woke. But woke to me is woke. Woke needs burying. It needs to be the body in the bag. Woke should be the body in the bag. It's time for woke to go. Enough with the woke. Well, thank you for loving my rants. Um, Socio Mario, whatever you're called, because it's a very long name. Thank you very much. Anyway, the world is scary enough as it is, says Grumpy Snapper. Anyway, there we are. So I'm going to move along because it's better off that I don't continue ranting. Um, there we go. So today it was identified that Claudia Lawrence, I don't know, so many of you may have watched, some of you, well, a few of you may have watched my program I did on Talk TV with the wonderful Peter Blexley and others about a lady called Claudia Lawrence last year in Talk TV studios next to the Shard. And today, the Daily Mail's main headline was about how Joan Lawrence, the mother, has identified a cupboard in the home of her daughter that hadn't been found before. And the cupboard leads to an attic. And in the attic was some furniture, some legs of chairs. And Mrs. Lawrence, the mother, whose daughter went missing on the 19th of March, 2009, when she was aged 35, nobody had bothered to check this attic, which is a very strange new development after the police had spent 1.5 million. The North Yorkshire police, they spent £1.5 million of public money looking for this woman, but they didn't bother to go into a cupboard, an attic. It was behind Claudia's wardrobe, and there were bits of furniture and table legs in it, allegedly, but no one's actually properly opened it. And Mrs. Lawrence, Joan Lawrence, has lost all faith and trust in the police. I'm utterly exhausted. Every time I find something new, it emotionally drains me and reminds me of absolutely no closure. I don't want the police to go in alone as they didn't get it right the first time. I'd be happier with someone else going in, like Locate International going in. There we go. So that is a strange thing. I don't quite get it, but how could this have occurred? Or is this just another red herring in this case? I don't know. What are your thoughts? Please let me know your thoughts, and then we could discuss the thoughts on that. And then, meanwhile, she then turned to the killing of Claudia's childhood friend, who was called Lisa Welford, who was murdered by the partner, Vincent Morgan. She suffered fatal brain injuries when held down in the River Derwent. And she says it brought back the pain. It was crushing, all consuming pain. How could two children have grown up together, have such terrible things happen to them? She said she was heartbroken for the mother, Rita Welford. I still haven't walked past the section of the river. This is the River Derwent where the poor lady, Lisa Welford, died. I can never walk there again. The Daily Mail concluded by adding, police believe that Claudia was murdered, yet her body was never actually found. The most recent searches in 2021 haven't found Claudia, but Claudia is somebody who, as I said in the program, she was a victim of victim shaming as well. Absolutely appalling what happened to poor Claudia, because if she'd been a man, they wouldn't have said the things they did about her. You know, just because she went to a pub and was a single woman, she was promiscuous and she was obviously deviant. This poor young lady, 35 years old, she would be 51 years old now. She could still be 51 years old. Who knows? She could still be alive, you know, like Madeline McCann. We don't know. And turning from on the topic of that, I shall move along to that. The Madeline McCann scammers, you know, I've just had drinks with an English couple. They immediately said to me, how on earth could there be two of these fake Madeline McCanns going on at the moment? I said, well, don't you realize there's probably 25? Just you don't hear about the rest of them. These grifters, this Julia Wandell, she needs Julia One Hell. That's what she should be called. And, you know, it's very well that these people who I've spoken with in the past support her. But this girl is an absolute disgrace, and I'm very glad that she has been charged. I'm very glad that she's been remanded in custody, and I hope that when she goes to trial, she is convicted for her serious crimes of harassment. I don't like the doctors, McCann. I don't think they're fair people. But I will say, the girl from America, she's a complete nut. She's a fruitcake. She's born in a barn. She's absolutely loopy. What is wrong with these people? We are dealing here with the detritus of society. It is wrong and it's sick and it's disgusting. Absolutely wrong. So, whatever you have to say about that, if you want to ask me some questions, please go ahead. You know, my views are that these people should be stopped. And this poor Claudia Lawrence, you know, her mother and her late father, you know, they've had to endure, um, well, how many years is it? It was 2009. They've had to endure years of hell worrying about, you know, could our daughter survive? Could you imagine having that worry on your head? It's absolutely appalling. And it's sickening. And it's terrible that they don't have any closure. And they probably never will because, you know, the father's already died. The mother is still alive, but every day this goes on without a body, she has no closure. And the same is true in any case. Now, I don't support the doctors, McCann, but I equally don't support people harassing them. I think it is absolutely wrong that that girl dared to turn up at their home. to harass them. She has nothing to do with them. She's just a lunatic. And she then went on the Instagram accounts of the brother and sister of this missing person, presumed missing, I will add, and harassed them. That is wrong. And the people who encouraged her, and I spoke yesterday of a gentleman who wanted to make clear that he did not encourage her. It doesn't matter. There were plenty of others. And this scumbag PR man, Surjit Singh Clare, he is the stain on humanity. He is a convicted criminal. He has been to prison for what he has done in another case. So absolutely appalling. I am not going to shut up about these people. I will keep calling them out. They are morally repugnant. And I hope on the 7th of April that this stupid, moronic, weird, freak girl is locked up. I hope she's convicted. And I hope she gets the book thrown at her. I hope she gets a sentence of at least, 5 or 6 years, which is what would be appropriate, given what she's done. I hope she gets sent to jail. And I hope people stop excusing her. She went on the Dr. Phil show, and then she tried to blame the woman called Dr. Fear, saying that, she'd set her up. Oh, really? Really? Grow up. That girl is absolutely appalling. Anyway, we'll move along now, and we'll move on to something more fun. We've done Michael Morpurgo, which was absolutely lovely. I love talking about positive news stories as well. And you believe that Julia has been bolstered by YouTube. Well, she's been bolstered by certain people on YouTube. I will agree with you, Violet. There we go. She's a cheap con, says Celia. Yes, Celia, I think I agree with you. She is a con. Maria G says, I think she's so desperate to know who she is. So even her parents will do a DNA. Well, her parents don't want to do a DNA test because they don't want to encourage this lunatic fruitcake. She's a fruitcake. She's off a rocker. That's enough of that. Keely says she really must believe she's Madeline McCann. Poor girl. I think she believes whoever she wants to be because she's an actress. She has been listed as being an actress in Arizona. We know that. She can just look in the mirror. She's her mother's double. Yes, her mother is a perfectly decent woman who is very traumatized by what her own daughter is doing. Violet. Yes, I agree. There we go. There we are. So, one of you's asking, how much did I have to drink tonight? I've had plenty to drink tonight, and I'm going to have a bit more to drink. So thank you very much for your comment and negativity. I realize that you don't like me having a drink, but I like to support the drinks industry. So thank you very much for your enthusiasm. Lovely to hear from you also. Anyway, we're now going to do a quiz, which will be quite fun. What's my view of the BBC exposed for funding the Taliban? the BBC is a terrible organisation, and it's not run well. I love Radio 4, but beyond that, I'm really not a great fan of anything else in the BBC. No, so I don't have anything else to say about the BBC other than I love Radio 4. I love the Archers. I don't like half the storylines. I love to shout at the BBC when I'm listening to it. This morning I was screaming and yelling, and Lady Min here would agree that I was screaming about some woke woman coming out with some middle class bullshit in the background. I was very pissed off with the BBC this morning, but it's not their fault that they have these guests. If they, they'd be better off having other guests. Anyway, there we go. Anyway, right. Are we going to be doing? Am I going to be joining my quiz tomorrow? I don't know who your quiz is tomorrow. Grumpy Sapper. I don't know how I can join your quiz, but I can try. You love my pullover. Yes, it comes from Bernard Weverall, the lovely company. Yes, I love the Bernard Weverall company. Everything I have comes from there virtually. I love the things. Right. So you got a music quiz tomorrow. Okay, come and join you. So Grumpy Sapper, if you're available to join, Grumpy Sapper has a music quiz tomorrow at 8:15 UK. Please come and join Grumpy Sapper. I don't think I'll be able to join your music quiz because I'll be doing my own program, but I urge other people, if you wish to join, please join the Grumpy Sapper music quiz. There we go. Right. Anyway, so we're going to begin with our quiz. Now, is someone available to help me with this quiz? If we're going to do it, I need someone to help me. Is the mother duck here or not? No sign of the mother duck. Fiona Wright says cheers. Cheers to Fiona Wright. I love Fiona Wright. You're a dear friend of mine. Lovely lady. Great to see you here. Grumpy Sapper will help. I only need someone to note down who gets the most points. If you can help, it will be helpful because Lady Min here is no use at doing any notes. I can tell you that. She's not going to help with the point taking or the point making. So we'll begin with the quiz. If Grumpy Sapper is prepared to note down the odd thing. So we've got Celia. Pen and paper ready. Thank you, Grumpy Sapper. Right. So the first question is, which country drinks the most coffee per capita?
Russell.
The answer is not, as Min said, Brazil. And it's not, as stoic Titus said, Costa Rica. It's not Italy. It's not Turkey. It's not the USA. It's not Colombia. No, none of you are guessing it right. I don't drink coffee. I drink gin. But there we go. It's not Vietnam. It's not the UK. It's not France. It's not the Netherlands. Mickey de Fernandez Paz says Colombia. And Mickey, I would have thought Mickey would have known the answer to this. But never mind. Nicola Crompton, France. No, none of you get it correct. Okay, so I will say none of you know the answer to this question. So 0 of you get the point. 0 points. The answer is actually weirdly Finland. Grumpy Sapper got the point. Well, I suppose Grumpy Sapper, you can have the point because you are keeping the points. So you have 1 point. So tick that off on your point list because you just got it before I closed the question down. Well done. How many measures of gin are there in a Vespa martini? How many measures of gin? It's the gin that was in the James Bond cocktail. Nicola gets it immediately with 3. The answer is 3. 3 measures. Go to Duke's Hotel and you will have the best Vespa martini on the planet. Ask Alessandro to make you a Vespa martini. It is the most wonderful drink ever you will drink. He is the most brilliant barman on the planet. He serves it with straight out of the freezer. Absolutely the best place. So I urge you all to go to Duke's Hotel and have a Vespa martini. You won't be disappointed. Next question. Cacao e pepe is a staple of which Italian city's cuisine? Which city does it come from? The answer is Rome. Elaine Harvey gets it right. Elaine Harvey gets the point. Where did sushi originate? Not in Milan, no. The first person to answer correctly is Chile Karan. Chile gets the point. The person shouting in the background should not be trying to answer the quiz because it's not fair to the entrants. I do apologize for Lady Min's interruption because she cannot partake in the quiz because she's in the room with the quiz. It is not correct. So, Lady Min, please be quiet. What is a Beaujolais? I think the first person to get it is Stoic Titus. It's a type of red wine. Yes, so Stoic Titus gets it. We did drive through a Beaujolais on our way down to Saint-Tropez. So we have passed through that. Which of the following sauces is not traditionally vegan? Hoisin, Worcestershire, mustard, or wasabi? Which is not vegan? The answer is not ketchup. The first person to answer correctly is Chili Karen again with Worcestershire. So you get the point. What is the world's best-selling stout beer? Sorry, Lady Min is shouting in the background again. I do apologize, but she is not correct in her answer. The winner immediately is Stoic Titus with Guinness. So Stoic Titus gets the point. What meat is used in a shepherd's pie? The winner immediately is Stoic Titus again with lamb. Lamb is the answer. What is the difference between brandy and cognac? It's nothing to do with age, sugar, and years. No. You are all incorrect. It's not the grape. Right. Not the barrel. It's not brandy makes you Randy, but Mickey Fernandez, I thought you'd come up with a phrase like that. Brandy makes you Randy. No, you were not Randy Andy. We're not with Fergie. We're not doing a bit of toe sucking on this particular evening. No, none of you get it. The answer is cognac must come from the Cognac region of France. So there we go. That's the end of that. Nobody got their question right. So 0 for heroes to the lot of you. Pink ladies and Granny Smiths are types of what fruit? The winner with apples is Mr. Lee Kicker. Mr. Lee Kicker gets the point immediately. What is the main ingredient in hummus? JN wins with chickpeas. Well done to JN, a new entrant to the game. What is the rarest and most expensive spice in the world by weight? I recently wrote an article about this. So, what is the most expensive spice in the world by weight? The winner with saffron is Maria G. Well done to Maria G, a new entrant also. What cheese is traditionally made from the milk of a donkey? I didn't even know donkeys could make cheese, but this quiz that I've been given refers to it. It's not called donkey cheese, Stoic Titus, so you're wrong there. No. It's not called grr. It's not called yuck. It's not called donk idam or dairy lee. Chili Karen gets it with Pule. Pule is the name of the cheese of a donkey. So we've all been educated today because I didn't know that there was cheese made from a donkey. I had a zonkey once in my life. That was quite a story. As many of you have already heard, I'm not going to bore you with the story of the zonkey again today, but I don't know if it would be called Zool, perhaps. There we go. The cheese of a donkey is called Pule, so there we are. What is the primary ingredient in the alcoholic beverage absinthe? It is not mint, no. It's not licorice. It's not plum. And Martina Fox says hello to Min. Hello to Min from Martina Fox.
Hello, my darling.
There you go. We have to say hello to Martina Fox.
Hello.
No, you have to say her name.
Martine Fox.
Martina.
Martina.
Yes.
Lady Martina.
Lady Martina, Min says hello. Right, the first person to be correct. No, it's not cheese made from fleas. No, you've got it all wrong, all of you. It's not apples. It's not aniseed. It's not cinnamon. No. What is the primary ingredient in the alcoholic beverage absinthe? It's not herbs. It's not herbs and spices. It's not Naples, whatever you think that may be. It's not saffron. It's not water. The winner is chili carine with wormwood. It's actually grand wormwood, according to our official designation, but we'll allow chili carine to take the score because you got there before anyone else when you were all coming out with absolute lunacy. Next question. What is the process of adding yeast to dough to create carbon dioxide bubbles? It is not Fergay. So don't blame the Duchess of York for this. Mother Duck gets the point for saying fermenting because it is fermentation. Yes, Mother Duck gets the point. Well done, Mother Duck. Mother Duck has landed and has got the point. We give our point to Mother Duck. The next question: which country is credited with inventing ice cream? It's a very strange answer. Where do you think ice cream was invented? Elaine Harvey is completely wrong. Italy. Completely wrong. Min is completely wrong, saying Iceland. Gemma LR gets it completely right. Ice cream was invented in China. There we go, according to this. There we go. So, did we ever know it? Ice cream comes from China. Anyway, the next question, which is kind of a similar theme. What is the primary ingredient in the Italian dessert tiramisu? What is the primary ingredient in tiramisu? It is not coffee. It is cheese, but you haven't got the right you haven't defined the type of cheese, the Blue Nomad. So please define the type of cheese. It's not strawberries, no. The Blue Nomad gets it with mascarpone cheese. Mascarpone cheese, even though you spelt it incorrectly. But we'll give you the point because you got there before anyone else, even if your spelling is appalling. Anyway, you're not the weakest link, so we won't send you goodbye. I'm not Anne Robinson, so I'm not going to be mean. The next question, question 18. We're nearly there. We've only got 3 more to go. What is the name of the Japanese art of preparing and presenting food? It's not China, no. It's not sushi. What is the name of the Japanese art of preparing and presenting food? It's not sashimi. It's not coffee, that's for sure. That's a bit of an odd response. Chili Karen gets it with Moritsuke. That is the answer. So my next question is, what is the size in acres of the Serpentine Lake in Hyde Park, London? What is the size in acres of the Serpentine Lake in London? In Hyde Park.
Only Matthew knows this.
It's not 16, it's not 21. Maria G gets the point because she goes exactly in 40. And the Serpentine Lake in London was originally part of the River Westbourne, which was part of Westbourne Grove originally. There you go. But I can talk about the whole things like my weird knowledge of London on another occasion. But the Serpentine Lake was actually a river. But there we go. I won't bore you with that. And I'm going to end with a question about where I used to live. Who is the most famous author associated with the seaside town of Broadstairs? Who is the most famous? There were a few people associated who were quite well known, but it wasn't Enid Blyton and it wasn't Richard Lewis. whoever he is. It wasn't Evelyn Waugh. It wasn't Helen Bailey. Well, she was murdered. She was associated. But Chilly Karen gets it with Charles Dickens. But no, Helen Bailey was a tragic case of murder opposite the Tesco store. She was murdered. But she wasn't murdered in Broadstairs. She was murdered in Hertfordshire. And the man tried to pretend that she was living in Broadstairs. So that was a terrible story. Yeah. So there we go. Have I moved? Asked Nicola Crompton. Sadly, I don't live in Broadstairs anymore. No. I had a terrible, awful landlady. Her name is Mrs. Moran. I call her Mrs. Moron. And yes, I'm going through a court case with the horrible landlady in Broadstairs, and I'm now prepared to speak about it. Yes, she is an absolutely abhorrent stain on humanity. She's a rude, horrible person who treats her tenants appallingly. I hope she's watching, because I hope this will piss her off that she listens to me having a pop at her, because I paid her a lot of money in rent. I looked after her house, and she got rid of me via what's called a Section 21. This is an absolutely disgusting thing. This is the only good thing that I believe the Labour government have done. They have ended the Section 21. The Section 21 allows people like her to get rid of her tenants in this abhorrent way. I loved living there. I had wonderful friends. I had a great time. I had a wonderful set of neighbours. When I first lived there in that square, out of 9 houses, there were 3 people living there. By the time I left, 0 people live in 9 houses. That says something about what's wrong with the British system. Nobody lives in a town. It's no wonder all the shops closed down. This is why these things go wrong. I loved living there. I paid that woman her rent, and she treated me appallingly. And I think that Mrs. Julie Moran needs to be named and shamed. And I will be doing further naming and shaming of Mrs. Julie Moran, but I didn't particularly mean to bring it up tonight. But there we go. You asked me the question of why I'm no longer in Broadstairs. So there we go. I hope that answers your question. I think most people who are watching this would agree that if you pay somebody for a number of years rent and then you're treated like that, it's utterly wrong. Why? All she cares about is greed. The woman is greedy and grasping, and I'm looking forward to a court case with her. I had to go through some mediation last week, and they said, well, what comes next comes next. So bring it on. Not really bothered, really. Anyway, let's talk about something more positive. But I don't want to end on a negative note. So if any of you have any nice questions to ask, there we go. Yeah, Martina Fox, scam landlord. Yeah, she is a scam landlord. Greedy slumlord, says another one. Yeah, we know that. There we are. I'm quite happy to do a name and shame on her. She's treated me appallingly. No. There we go. So hope you still managed to get to the pub there. No, I haven't been to the Magnus in a while, but when I go back, of course I'll pay it a visit. Yeah, we love the Magnet. Men, do we
Love the magnets.
Men loves the Magnet. I don't know who won the quiz, but Uh, if somebody could tell me, that would be helpful. But no, the scammy landlady was not a nice person in Broadstairs, but I must say, Broadstairs is a place where I met many, many wonderful, delightful people. The wonderful Mario, a gentleman who teaches disabled children to play rugby. What a kind hearted, fantastic gentleman. Peter, and who runs a society, who he goes out doing bird watching with all the others, and Miss Broadstairs, who Lady Min here loves, and the wonderful Jenny, who is a jovial local character, and the wonderful Kate, who's a kind-hearted lady who's not very well at the moment, I believe, but kind, lovely people, a community, and that is what we need more of in Great Britain. We need less of Keir Starmer. We need more community. We need decent people, not rubbish like him. Honestly, we don't need Rachel Thieves, the woman who steals from the farmers, the farmer harmer. Disgusting. We need good people in our country. I'm all for cheerfulness. I love a bit of joviality and a bit of jolliness. It's wonderful to be with wonderful people always. Come to Ireland and bring Min. We have whiskey waiting. You've been invited to Ireland, Min, by Martina.
Oh, I'd love to be there.
Martina, Lady Min,
We're coming.
she wants the crack. Right, okay. Well, we'll come to Ireland maybe and do a little tour of Ireland at some point. We'll do a program in Ireland. I'd love to come and do something about Sophie Toscan de Plantier because I'm very interested in that story. I've always been, I've done some work with Nicola Tallant. I love Ireland. I'd love to spend some time in Ireland. And I want to go to Stornoway. That's on my agenda. Lady Min hates the idea of Stornoway, but I want to go there. Come to Dubai. Well, that's very kind. That's somewhere else I've never been. I would. I have friends who live there, so I could come and visit Dubai. Yes, it would be nice. I've got multiple people saying come to Dubai. That's very generous. If you want to invite me, we will come and visit. They'll love me in the Outer Hebrides. Well, I'd love to go to the Outer Hebrides. Come to Tasmania. Well, I would love to go there. That's a long way to go, but I would come to Marbella, says Mickey. Well, Mickey, of all people who've invited me, I have to come to see Mickey in Marbella because I love Mickey. Mickey, you are my old friend, and I've never ever come to visit you in Marbella, so it's about time I came to visit you because I miss the legendary Mickey de Fernandez Baz. So it's about time I came to visit you. So you're on the list, most definitely. But we will do shows here, there, and everywhere. But for now, we're here in Saint Tropez. Port Grimaud is where we actually are, but it's nearby. So we will be able to come and visit you all soon. So you want me on the Paddy Wagon tour? Well, that's very nice. That would be wonderful. It's so wonderful that you're all so generous and so kind to come and talk with us. We've talked about so many different topics, but if you have any questions, please ask me some questions because we can't keep going forever. So ask me some questions about anything specific. I love my Fiona, lovely Fiona Wright, lovely lady. You came to visit Broadstairs, an absolutely delightful lady. Right. Chile, Karine, won with 6 correct answers. She won the car, as Grumpy says. 6 out of 20 is not a bad score. And I wish we had a roster so we could keep an identity on this. There we go. Linda Joe wants to know what my next topic is. My next topic, probably a bit more of the old Madeline McCann and probably a bit of Prince Andrew. I think it's about time I spoke about old Randy Andy again and the dirty old Fergie. The dirty old Fergie's been living La Vida Loca in Palm Beach, so I've got a bit of dirt on her. So I think it's time that we did a bit of an expose on her, given her disgusting link with Epstein. So there we go. Have I ever met King Charles? I've actually never met King Charles. No, I think King Charles comes across as a perfectly decent gentleman. I met the late Queen on 2 occasions. Very nice lady, but I've never met King Charles. No, I've met Queen Camilla on at least 4 occasions. She's a lovely lady, and her children absolutely fantastic. I know one of them better than the other, but nice people. But no, I've never ever met King Charles. It would have been nice to meet him, but why would he want to meet me? I'm of absolutely no relevance. There we go. Fergie, yes, I've met her on multiple occasions, and she's absolutely awful. She's like a spoilt child. That's all I'll say. I think that's the easiest answer to that. Right. You used to be in a band. Okay, that's very nice. Where did I meet the Queen? I met the Queen in Lancashire at the castle in Lancaster, where I happened to live next door. We had a house right next door. At the time, my mother and father had just got divorced, and we had a little house, which is where I lived whilst I was at school there. And she came in a big car, and I was there. So, yeah, that's where I first met the Queen. That would have been probably 1997 or 8. I don't know. Maybe 6. I don't know. It was 1996 to 1999. I don't know. Somewhere in that region. It was when I was at school. And then I went to university, but it was somewhere. Anyway, there you go. There's the answer to your question. You love Princess Anne. I think she's a wonderful lady. She's a decent woman who does her job with due diligence, and she is an excellent example to the world. I think Princess Anne is a fantastic, dedicated, working member of the royal family, unlike the grifter Meghan Markle, who's a shameful stain on humanity. Another stain on humanity. I'm going to keep using this description for people I don't like now. I've decided. Camilla is lovely, yes.
Horrible.
Yes. Well, the person shouting in the background isn't helpful on that one. I don't agree. Bram Stoker, who wrote Dracula, was Irish. Well, Bram Stoker lived in Royal Avenue, Chelsea. I used to live in Royal Avenue, Chelsea, at number 9 Royal Avenue. He lived a little further down the street. So there we go. Of course, then he lived in North Yorkshire and Whitby and wrote Dracula. There we go. Grumpy Snapper asks, "Did you hear my song I wrote about Meghan Markle?" Well, I'm afraid I haven't heard your song, but please could you send it to me via email? My email is editorial@thesteepletimes.com if you want to send me your song, and then I'll have a listen and I'll play it to Lady Min and see what she thinks about your song about Meghan Markle. And tomorrow we might play your song about Meghan Markle if we can work out how to do it. If we have assistance technological. Starmer and Mandelson in the White House. Well, I spoke about it earlier, actually. So, Linda Jo, I did speak at length on that topic. So, I think that Peter Mandelson should not be the British ambassador because of his association with the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein, the creep Ghislaine Maxwell. And I also will say right now, again, has Peter Mandelson been to visit his old mate, Ghislaine, in prison? She's in Tallahassee, Florida. He's now an ambassador in America. Why doesn't he go and pay her a visit? What a shameful, disgusting, disloyal man he is. If it's his old friend, why doesn't he go and visit her? There's something very unpleasant about Peter Mandelson. The old Mandelson has got it wrong. Anyway, there we go. Okay, so we've got the Ballad of Meghan Markle coming our way. But I gave you an email address, so please email it over. I can't hear it. There we go. I don't know what to say about that. I can't do anything about your music until I've heard it. What's happened to Harry No Brains? He's definitely a daft ginger. Well, I totally agree. Prince Harry is the village idiot. He was born in a barn and he's as thick as you know what. So let's just leave it at that. The guy is he's as daft as a brush. That's my kind way of speaking of him. My friend who grew up with him, he's opening a new nightclub, and he said, doesn't want them. He doesn't want her particularly. And I've spoken to him about many other things about Britain that are wrong. No, people don't want the fool around. No, Prince Harry is he's a modern day, he's just a Wally. The word Wally is ironic given Wallace Simpson. I think that might sum up the situation. He's thick as a ditch. There we go. That's a kind description, Martina. Well, anyway, it's great to have you all here. So many of you. Thank you so much for your interactions. We've been going now for 1 hour and 30 minutes. This is quite something. Have I ever visited Scott? Did you ever visit your fan from Scotland? I'm not sure who my fan from Scotland I was meant to visit. I've been to Scotland many times. I love Scotland with a passion. I absolutely think Scotland is one of the most wonderful places. I love Edinburgh. Edinburgh is absolutely glorious, one of the best cities. Um, I love Altnahara, where, of course, I spent a lot of time as a child. Altnahara was one of my favorite places. Oban, where I sailed, and Iona, the most beautiful water in the world, Staffa, Mull, all the places I visited there. Absolutely, I love Scotland. Yes, yes, I agree there. Um, there are parts of Scotland I've been to that I wasn't that infused by. I will admit, Glasgow didn't really appeal to me, but I'm sure there's many wonderful parts of Glasgow too. The architecture is wonderful, but I didn't get the vibe there for me. That's just not my kind of place. But I loved the West Coast. I loved Elgin. I loved Dornoch. Um, you know, Inverness. Places like that I visited. Wonderful. And Caithness and Sutherland and Dunrobin Castle and places like wonderful, wonderful places. Scotland is a beautiful country. It's one of the best countries in the world. It was just a shame about that weird freak woman that was running it, Sturgeon. The sturgeon fish was not a good person, and I'm glad she's gone. But the replacement, he doesn't look much better, does he? And as for the previous one, well, he was a bit of a nutter as well. So there we go. But Scotland is a fantastic place. England is a fantastic place. There are many wonderful places in England that I love. There are many wonderful places all over the world. We're all very lucky wherever we live. Let's just celebrate where we live. Be positive and be happy. Yes. So, right. Scotland loves you, says Violet. Well, thank you, Violet. I would love to come and visit you in Scotland. I don't know where you live in Scotland, but I'd love to come and visit you. That would be wonderful. Right. Mr. Lee Kicker says my son lives in Caithness. Well, Caithness is you are living in an unspoilt wilderness of wonder. I'm so envious. I want to go and live in this Shetland Islands, but all my friends have tried to stop me, and it's Caithness, maybe the moderation. Sutherland no more, says Hey Tiggers. Okay. Well, I'd love to go to Sutherland. Sutherland is a wonderful place. It's absolutely delightful, other than, the odd bit where they've built a nuclear power station. But there we go. You love Forres and Findhorn. Yes, Forres is another lovely place where I used to go and stay with people in Forres. Yes, I've stayed there. Great place. It's very isolated. Yes, well, that's why I like it. I like to get away from too many people. I loved places like that as a child. I was very, very lucky as a child that I could always get away from everything by going to places like Forres. Forres was a wonderful place. Very lucky to have been there. Our friends had a place there and we stayed there. So we stayed in a little house in the middle of a forest, and we used to go and I used to go and visit whiskey distilleries. And weirdly, this afternoon, here in the south of France, I met a man who had been to buy himself a bottle of Knockandoo whiskey in the local supermarket. And I bought myself what I'm drinking, the cheap rubbish, the famous grouse. And I said, "No," I said, "you're a very privileged man. You know, you're drinking Knockandoo." And we got chatting, and that was nice because he was on the Knockandoo, and you know, I'm on the famous grouse. But it doesn't really matter in life. As long as you enjoy yourself, life is good. So cheers to you, and cheers to me, and cheers to me if we disagree. So cheers to us all. Cheers to all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being such a wonderful audience. Um, there we go. Yes, you'd all rather have the Knockandoo than the famous grouse. I understand that. You'd like Oban, yes. Well, Oban whiskey, yes. I used to spend a lot of time in Oban. Oban is a great place with the amphitheater and everything else. And you can sail out to Mull, and then you can go on to the Carl of Lacaiche, and you can go on to all of these wonderful places. I was very lucky to spend my childhood in these places. We loved those places, and I hope all of you get to experience them because the water there is so beautiful. And the paintings, the Scottish colorists, the best painters in the world, the absolutely most wonderful painters. Donald Hamilton Fraser. You know, look up Donald Hamilton Fraser. You'll see a wonderful artist at work. I'm, you know, I don't make things up. I talk here about things that I grew up with, and just look him up. That's a painter who will become extremely collectible in the future. So if you get a chance, buy one of his paintings because they're going very much up in value. But glorious, glorious greens and blues and absolutely wonderful colors. But go to the Iona and experience the spirituality of the place. You know, the place where John Smith is buried, the former Labour leader, and go to Staffa and experience all the birds flying around, the puffins flying around, wonderful. And Mendelssohn's music, you know, think of Mendelssohn's music in the Fingal's Cave, and you'll think of an absolutely beautiful place you couldn't imagine. I sound like a tourist guide now. I'm going completely bonkers. I'm talking about a place I haven't been in a long while. But honestly, I've never spent time. I've been to California, I've been to Spain, I've been to France, I've been to Italy, and I love Italy, and particularly I love Venice. Venice to me is like a Disney World for adults, but to me, you can't beat Iona. Iona is the best place on the planet. The water is so beautiful. You know, it was the first place that, you know, there were pilgrimages to. I'm not religious, but this is the most beautiful place to me on the planet. I've been to, you know, fancy places all over the world, That is the place you cannot beat, because the spirituality of it is unbelievable. So if I could urge you to go somewhere, go there. And as Mr. Lee Kicker said, John Smith, he was a good man. John Smith was a good man. If he had been the leader of the Labour Party, maybe the Labour Party would be in a different place today. The leader of the Labour Party today, Sir Keir Starmer, makes me want to vomit. I cannot stand this dreadful piece of toe rag. Sir Keir Starmer is an absolutely abhorrent, evil man. He is the worst Prime Minister in modern history. He had all the chances, with over 170 majority, of becoming something. And what has he done? He attacked the farmers. And I went on the first farmer protest. I would be on the farmers' protest if I were in England. I'm not in England. Otherwise, I would have been there yesterday. National Farmers Union. Well done them. They did a great work. They did great work with all their protest, with all the mini tractors showing the children of the farmers who are being harmed. Well done them. Brilliant work. Farmers should not be harmed. Farmers create everything we need to live. No farmers, no food. Don't harm the farmer. Disgusting. Starmer. Starmer Farmer Harmer is a horrible, horrible man. And he has to go. It's the worst government we've had in decades. Tony Blair was a good prime minister. I know many of you won't agree with me. Tony Blair made everybody I knew rich. I've never known anyone suffer under Tony Blair. Tony Blair, yeah, okay, his war was a bit of a problematic problem. And that is a problem for him. But I think you can't think of a worse leader in modern history than this Starmer and this raving arena and this dreadful Reeves, Rachel Thebes, as I call her. She will be blamed and she'll be sacked. She needs to go. But, once she goes, we just get another creep, because he's not going to go willingly. So all these people calling for a petition to get rid of him, it's all very nice to calling for a petition to get rid of him. And I signed the petition, of course I did. And I spoke with a friend of mine at the weekend. Let's get rid of him. And I said, yeah, I support the petition, but it's not going to achieve anything, is it? It's not going to get rid of him, because he doesn't need to go. He's got a majority of 170 plus, whatever it is. He doesn't need to go. So this lunatic, sadly, we're stuck with him. Can you imagine anything worse than that? Anyway, there we go. So anyway, you totally disagree. Okay, right. I don't know. Tony Blair ruined politics, says Trevor. Okay, well, get George Osborne back, says Mr. Lee Kicker. Well, that's an interesting option. Okay. So we all have a mixture of opinions. You're not a Labour fan, says another one. Well, I'm not a fan of. I'm not a supporter of any political party. Actually, I'm a supporter of logic. I would support whoever made Britain great again. And I'm not MAGA, so I'm not BAGA. BAGA. Yeah, no, I'm not that. I think Britain deserves to have a new chance, and we're not going to get that in the way we behave right now. No. So JD Vance has just made Starmer very uncomfortable. I don't know what he's done because I'm not watching the news. I'm talking to you here now. Um, Prayers for America, says Trevor. Okay. Um, right. You'll be discussing this tomorrow. Okay. Well, maybe we'll be discussing JD Vance tomorrow and Starmer. But um, do any of you have any more questions before I close down my conversation? We've spoken a lot about bizarre topics like Scotland, and if any of you want to talk about something completely different off the wall, please ask me the question now. Any questions? Where does the name Steeples come from? I've absolutely no idea. Can't answer that question. Sorry. It's just a name.
Granny and great granny.
Will you be dining with Anthea Turner later tonight? No, I have to say, I haven't seen Anthea Turner in maybe 2 to 3 years. So no, I won't be dining with Anthea Turner tonight. Are you something to do with horse racing? Yes, I do enjoy horse racing. Yes, very much. I love horse racing. Sadly, whilst I'm here, because I haven't got what's called a VPN, because I can't work out how to use it, because I'm a technically inept moron, I can't get access to my Ladbrokes account, which actually has money in it. And I would love to do some betting, and I can't. And I'd love to bet on Cheltenham, and love to give you all some tips, but I can't even bet myself, so I haven't been that bothered in looking. It's a great shame because I love horse racing. Horse racing is the most fantastic thing, and that is the only redeeming feature of Sir Keir Starmer. His wife, Lady Starmer, loves horse racing. The day after the election, she went horse racing. So I hope that the Starmers are not going to harm horse racing because they've already harmed farming, but they better not get their dirty mitts into horse racing. I think because of Lady Starmer, he'll leave horse racing alone. He is really a piece of scum and he's a piece of detritus, but if he leaves horse racing alone, he'll get a Brucey bonus from me. So there you go. That's a positive on Keir Starmer. It's the only one you're ever going to get from me. So cheers to that. He's a criminal, says Katrina Nevin. I totally agree with you. He's a puppet, says Fiona Wright. I love my Fiona. My Fiona is a lovely lady and great friend. Right. Trevor asks, do you still reside in Broadstairs? I've already answered that question. No, I don't sadly live there because of an evil woman, the scam landlady. And what does Min think of the scam landlady?
Rubbish.
Speak up, Min. say something else.
Triple rubbish.
The horrible landlady, Mrs. Moron,
Rip off.
the rip-off woman. Anyway, my old headmaster was Pauline Collins' father. I don't know quite what that means. Thank you for your comment, the Blue Nomad. Right, okay. You've enjoyed the company, you've got to go. So, right, well, we're now at 1 hour and 50 minutes. When we get to 2 hours, we better stop. So, if you have any further questions, we have 10 more minutes of laughter and discussion. But we don't like greedy landladies. We don't like Meghan Markle. We don't like Peter Mandelson. We certainly don't like Fergie. There we go. So if you want to add anything to our little milieu, mix, whatever you want to call it, you're welcome to join in. Cheers to you.
It's about, I guess, more about Wales.
Oh, she wants to go on about Wales. I love haggis. I love Scotland. But that does not mean I don't like Wales. So anyway, there we go. We didn't like donkey cheese. No, but that was the thing in the quiz. We didn't know there was a new thing that we learnt about. So in the quiz, you all learnt about the donkey cheese. There we go. As for Fergie, no. She's got Derek and Eric. She's completely nuts, that woman.
Ugly.
Ireland for me. Well, I love the Irish, as you know. Also, I am a great fan of the Irish. I love the Irish, and I have been fascinated by the case of Sophie Toscan de Plantier, and that awful man who died recently, the complete creep who probably killed her, but we don't know. He was a total lunatic. His podcast is a great listen. If you want something to listen to, do have a listen to his Sophie Toscan de Planquier, Ian, whatever he was called. The case is still a mystery, says Martina. Yes. The Blue Nomad says a policeman killed her. Well, I don't know who killed her, but he was convicted, but not taken back to France to be processed. So, no. Ian Bailey, yes. I do believe that Mr. Ian Bailey was a psychopath. I agree with you, Martina. But I would say his podcast is well worth a listen to. The man was a complete nut. The Blue Nomad says Ian Bailey was a wrong'un, an absolute wrong'un, sorry. I would agree with you. I think poor Sophie Toscan de Plantier was murdered in the most cold of cold blood. It was an appalling killing. I have never come across a case quite like it. And that man made a life out of banging on about how innocent he was. And he profiteered from it, and he's disgusting. Nicola Tallant, who I spoke with, she knew Mr. Bailey. Mr. Bailey, he was a wicked person. It was clearly obvious. He was a very wicked person. Even if he weren't the murderer, he was still a wicked person. He was just mentally unhinged. a lunatic, a freak of human nature, as they say. Um, how sad about Rod Stewart? I don't know what's happened to Rod Stewart, so I can't possibly comment. What's Rod Stewart got to do with this? There we go. Rod Stewart's son. Yes, Rod Stewart's son has been put into a facility, but I don't know anything about Rod Stewart. Charlie Mullins has died. Well, I don't know where you get this information. I can't see information because I'm talking to you. So Charlie Mullins has died. I don't know if that's true or not, so I couldn't possibly comment. Right. Fake news regarding Rod Stewart. Okay. I don't know. I don't know anything about Rod Stewart or Charlie Mullins. Charlie Mullins is a plumber who ran Pimlico Plumbers. And as for Gene Hackman, yes, that's a very sad story, but I don't know the situation. I cannot comment because it's nothing to do with me. Right. Mr. Lee Kicker says I was being humorous. Okay, Mr. Lee, I'm not going to comment on fake news. I'm not Donald Trump, okay? I don't want to do fake news. So let's not have any of that here. You can take that on the other channels if you want, all your fake news, but I don't want fake news. You can shove your fake news up your ass and you can bog off with it, but I don't want any of this nonsense here. So let's leave that alone. Let's just focus on decent conversation. I don't want nonsense here. Thank you. I will be closing down shortly. But if you have any more questions, you have 4 more minutes. So let's go back to the questions. And I'd like to have a bit more from Mickey de Fernandez Paz, particularly, because I love my Mickey. And it's lovely to have Harriet Blanca here. Harriet Blanca, a firm favorite on our channel, a loyal supporter and always kind. So can we have a bit more from Harriet Blanca and Fiona Wright and also Mickey de Fernandez Paz? So yes, we love those people. So have they got any questions? Because Rod Stewart's son is not really of any interest to me. No, he's been put into a facility. I really couldn't be bothered to talk about Rod Stewart's son. It's of absolutely no relevance to me. I'm not being cruel. It's just not a topic that interests me. Sorry. Thank you. Let's move on from the topic of that. It's boring. Right. We are staying here in the south of France in a house in a place called Port Grimaud near Saint Tropez. Yes, so that's where we are. Right. We're on the water. We're near the boats. There's lots of lovely boats. It's absolutely charming. As for Charlie Mullins, I don't know what's happened to Charlie Mullins, but I'll look at it afterwards. But no, I don't know the man. Have I got your email? No, not yet. Thank you, Harriet. You're a lovely person. No, I don't. I'm not very good with technology, as people tend to know. Is the weather nice? Yes, it's been perfectly pleasant today. It hasn't been perfectly pleasant for many other days, but there we go. Yes, Harriet is lovely. Yes, we love Harriet. Yes, everyone loves Harriet. I don't think you need to resend it. It's probably I just haven't received it. Uh, Thought you were on the wine. No, I'm on the famous grouse right now, Mickey. Cheers to Mickey. Mickey de Fernandez Paz, the most legendary club promoter in London, an absolutely brilliant man on the stage. Not water. Oh, but no, but Mickey ran the best of the best. Always the best clubs was Mickey de Fernandez Paz. We love him, and he's in Marbella, so I'm going to have to go and visit him in Marbella. Um, Everybody loves Mickey. We miss you from the King's Road, the Fulham Road. Everything you did was the best. You organized the best parties. You were the best party hostess of all of our time. So we love Mickey de Fernandez Paz. Cheers to you. Come on, lady men. Cheers to Mickey.
Cheers, Mickey.
Cheers to Mickey. Yeah. As for Peter Stringfellow, no, we don't care about him. He's not somebody of any consequence. No. I did have a bit of trouble with some city woman who married Clive Sinclair, of all people. She's complaining because she doesn't want to be described as an ex-lap dancer from Stringfellows. And she married Sir Clive Sinclair. Anyway, she's whinging and whining at the moment. Anyway, the Daily Telegraph, the Daily Express, the Daily Mail, Hello Magazine, everybody referred to her as an ex-lap dancer. I don't know what she wants me to change my description to, because there are about 50 other people who are describing her as exactly that. Anyway, there we go. Anyway, so Mickey de Fernandez Paz says cheers to all. So we love you, Mickey. Yeah, you're the best. And Mickey says cheers to Lady Min.
Cheers.
Harriet is here as well, and there we go. Grumpy Sapper is lovely. Well, there we go. We love Grumpy Sapper too. There we go. Anyway, well, we've done 2 hours, so this is a long performance. Unless any more of you have any questions, I think it's probably time to say nighty night. But if you have a couple more questions, please come forward with them now. But we love Mickey de Fernandez Paz particularly. It's great having Mickey and the wonderful Harriet and the wonderful Chili and the wonderful Martina and the wonderful all the others. But you've all got such bizarre names. It's very hard to pronounce them. Trout Girl, thank you to you. I can't read out all your names because they're all a bit complicated. Rosebud Ame. What's the biggest boat I've ever been on? Gosh, the biggest boat I've ever been on. I've been on some nice boats, but the nicest boat I've ever been on was the boat of Johnny Depp, which at the time was in Venice. A friend of mine was filming on board, and it was owned by Johnny Depp. And I just went on it for a little while. It was the most lovely boat, and it was then sold to J.K. Rowling. That was a lovely boat, and some Turkish friends of mine had owned that boat beforehand. That was a lovely boat. Um, the biggest boat. Gosh, I don't know. I haven't been. I've been on a few boats, but I haven't stayed on many boats. I'm really not a boating person, to be honest. Um, I wish I could be. I'd love to go on some of those beautiful boats, but no, I haven't been on many big boats. But that's the best boat story I can give you. So that's my answer to you. Right. Right. You love Venice. Yes, I love Venice too. I miss the place. I must go back there soon. Um, my family consider Venice probably our favorite place in the world. So, yeah, one day maybe I may end up living in Venice, which would be wonderful. Venice is my favorite place on the planet. Right. Martina says, thanks for the crack. Good night to Min. So do you want to say thank you to Martina?
Well,
Speak up.
biggest boat I've been on is the Union Castle.
Okay. No. She says, well, thanks for the crack.
Oh,
So say thanks back.
thank you.
Right. It's
Have a
sorry.
glass of wine, Martina.
Martina should have a glass of wine, says Lady Min. There we go. Anyway, it looks like we're wearing out of time, and it's time to wrap up, belt up, and shut up, as James Stunt would used to say to me.
See you tomorrow night.
Well, and Lady Min says, "See you tomorrow night." So we'll all say good night to you all, and we'll say thank you ever so much. It's most kind of you all to participate, and especially to our friends such as Harriet, Rosebud, Martina, and of course Mickey de Fernandez Paz. So, nighty night. Goodbye. We'll be in touch tomorrow. Pip pip.